Hi there, Robin here, and welcome to the Happy Infectious Faces. No, this is not about the coronavirus infections. This is about making a funny face that causes other people to laugh or maybe smile so that they just can't control themselves. They just have to respond. We all need a little laughter right now, and maybe this project will help you to do that. I'm going to show you something interesting. My son took me to a spot here that is just wonderful. For me, it's a hidden secret gem, where a tiny looking waterway is actually a strong, powerful waterway. It's like art for my mind. I will share with you other hidden gems in my art that I use while I'm creating today too. I always do. If you like this kind of video and you wish to see more, please consider liking and subscribing, and maybe also leaving comments for me to read. I love reading your comments and also responding to them if you have questions. I sent it out there to Facebook that I wish to paint 100 faces, but I wanted those faces to make other people laugh and smile. And this project is full of these kind of faces. Most of the portraits will have accompanying videos to go with it, but of course some will not because I'm not terrific when it comes always to recording. So we're going to take this one today, and it's one of my favorite faces. Some of my paintings will be better than others because, well, you can't win them all. And maybe something that you also combat with. Some days artists just aren't perfect, and we can't seem to make good art that day. And I've done that many a times, and when it happens, it sucks. And yes, I hate it when it happens. But you have to learn from those days because usually those are the best days of lessons. Sometimes when this happens, I take a couple of days away from the studio, and then I start again. And sometimes I try the painting from beginning, from scratch. And sometimes I just let it all go because for whatever reason, I'm not connecting with that. That is secret number one. Know that you can't win them all. You have to learn from your bad art. And you have to learn to walk away and to take a break and sometimes just do something different. Number two, I find the hardest thing for me to do is laying out a painting, especially where I want it to be right in the middle of the paper or darn close. And when I'm working on, or whatever I'm working on, it doesn't have to be paper or whatever, it can be canvas. What I try to do is get the largest main shape idea to be where I want it to be. To lay out, and in this case, I lay out the basic face. So number three is be open to change. Be open to change because I can't tell you how many times I've laid out a painting only to change the whole thing. Some artists stop this by making thumbnails, but that has never really felt natural to me. So what a thumbnail is, you take a little idea of how you think you might lay it out. But if you're going to do that kind of thing, make lots of different ones and then be open to all kinds of changes and choose the one you think would be the best. This is where making friends with your eraser and to draw lightly is important. Now, this is something that really I really relate to because I like to have a heavy hand. But I don't like all my marks to be on the paper, especially when in the beginning, when I'm making, ideas happen, and I don't like them to be permanent because I will erase them, I will change them. Now, some artists want those there. They want you to do in pen or they want you to do it permanent. But when you're starting out, especially when you're learning, those markings can be disappointing and distracting from what you're going to do later on. So it takes a while to develop your artist eye, especially your artist hand-eye coordination. And observing your subject correctly, if you want to call it that, before making those initial marks, you'd rather be able to erase those rather than have these mistakes or this distraction. So be comfortable with erasing and working lightly. Number 4, I like to focus on the eyes first. Not always, but mostly. I like them to be a point of the major point of ratios where I start with. Now this is going to sound kind of weird, but work with me here. I will use the eyes to make a measure for everything else. I match my pencil to the eye, and I will use that as a basic mark. Usually the eyes are in the middle of the head, not what you thought, but usually in the middle of the head, and then you can divide the face easily using the eyes. Now usually the eyes are very close to the same size, and even the division between the space between the eyes is also one eye distance. Usually, not always, but usually. Plus or minus little bits here and there, but that's why you use your pencil, so that you, as a measuring tool, so that you can keep an eye on that. And then usually, if you're straight on, the side of the head is also one eye. So total cross of the head will be 5 eyes. And from there you can find out how many eyes the length of the nose will be, or how wide it will be from wing to wing. And sometimes you have to be aware of this. Sometimes the wing of the nose will be under the pupil, or will be under the crease corner of the eye. So this is where I really do use the eye as a focus. Now the human body plus the human face can follow very formulaic rules. And it's important to follow those rules, or it doesn't make sense. But what's interesting about this project is when you're taking selfies and such, and from different angles, they don't follow the rules of the face, where the eyes would be in the center of the head, or the nose divides the face in half, or the midpoint of the nose and chin is the lips, and so on. Why? It's because of how the people are taking the photo. If the camera is taken slightly below or to the side, this changes the facial proportions and perspective. So be open to drawing from a different perspective and proportion, especially, if you want to get it right. So this is important. This leads us to the next one, which is number 5. Draw what is there, not what you think is there. When children draw, they tend to draw the important things as the biggest, like the character part of the face of the nose, eyes, and mouth. But that's not always the case. There's a lot more to the face than that, things like cheeks and temples and things like that, and you have to include them. So this is where you need to start seeing, and this takes practice, especially when we're talking just now about perspective, and where it doesn't seem to it wouldn't follow the formula, so you have to draw what is there. And this will help you to make corrections of proportions and perspectives. So especially, let's say you've been at your desk and you've been drawing for a long time, and you're really connected to that drawing because you've been drawing for a long time. This is one of those times where here's some tricks to help you see without the prejudice that you've developed what you think is there. Take a break, walk away from your work for a while, so that you can come back and look with a fresh head and a fresh eye. So here's another trick, a really important one actually. I use quite frequently, not occasionally. I use a mirror. I look into the mirror of my art, so I see it backwards, and almost immediately you see the problems. Now you can do this with a photo for your work as well, and it will do the same thing. It causes your brain to see what's really there. And that's a really important thing to practice. Draw what is there. Now as you get better and better, you won't need these tricks as much. Why? Because it becomes second nature, and you also start drawing faster. Everything starts to become automatic. Your hand starts to work with your eyes, and you find that your eyes are moving quickly from where you're drawing from your paper, to the thing you're looking at. And it happens very quickly. It's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And your hand responds without you looking at it. So that's where the second nature comes in. Now, here's the bonus secret. It's practice. And when you get sick of that, Practice more and more and more. Practice more and more and more. Then learn from your mistakes. And this is where you can bring those other tricks in of the mirror and the photo, and you keep practicing. You're working to develop your eye and your hand and your artist observation. No matter what, you cannot skip this step. And don't believe it when people say, I was born to draw, or I was born with the ability to immediately draw perfectly. There are very few people who have that advantage. I've been practicing, I guess, for over 50 years because I'm over 50 years. So no, I was not born with a pencil or brush in my hand. My mom might have had something to say about that if I had. It wouldn't have been very comfortable. So I have to work at it too. I was born loving and willing to create art and do whatever that was. So you have to start practicing and keep going and work through some of those frustration. That's the biggest secret of all. Working through it even though it's difficult. It's like anything. You work and you work and you learn and you work some more. And you eventually get what you want. And then just a little extra one, be willing to experiment and make mistakes. I didn't know when I started this project that the brown I used and the purple I used would be okay. It just works. And I'm also using things that, like this pen, this white pen, I didn't think it would work, and yet it works wonderfully. So be flexible again and practice. Flexible, practice, over and over again, proportions, all that. So if you like this video and you'd like to see more kinds of this kind of thing, please subscribe and maybe be willing to flick that little bell icon to be notified when I post more. It's all part of the fun, and really, I do look at your comments and I love to hear what you have to say. So thank you all for enjoying this video, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.